Good morning, Starflower friends. Today I am sitting in the living room of my little yellow house, and I have a book that I want to share with you. It's one of my favorites. It's a book about fairy houses. I hope you'll enjoy it. This summer, my parents decided we should leave the city and spend a week on a small island on the coast of Maine. They said there was something special for me on the island, something I would really like, but they wouldn't tell me what it was until we got there. As soon as we got off the boat, I tried to guess. Is it the lighthouses? Those silly sandpipers on the beach? The seals? Our cottage? Later, when we went for a walk in the woods by our cottage, I discovered the secret my parents had been keeping. Fairy houses. People had built small houses for fairies to live in. I asked if I could build a fairy house. My dad said yes, as long as I followed the rules of the woods. I scouted out places that would be just right for a fairy house. I chose a hollow at the base of an oak tree and collected some twigs, some leaves, and pieces of bark to build with. I finished the inside with a floor of dry grass and made a roof with the fallen leaves. I hoped the fairies would choose my house for a place to live in. The next morning, I couldn't wait to visit the woods again to see if anyone might be sleeping inside my house. When I bent down to look, I heard chirping. Was a fairy snoring? Hey, you're not a fairy, I said. You're a cricket. The cricket hopped off into a bush full of bright red berries. Maybe the fairies would like something to eat, I thought. I gathered a handful of berries from the ground and sprinkled them around my house. The following day, after visiting the lighthouse with my parents, I decided to check on my fairy house. A pair of finches were carrying away the last of the berries. Searching the ground for more berries, I came to a small stream. The sound of the trickling water gave me an idea. I took some stones from my pack that I had found near the lighthouse and arranged them in a circle near my fairy garden. Then I filled the circle with water from the stream in case the fairies got thirsty or wanted to take a bath. Is anybody here? I whispered the next day. Is anybody here? At first, the house looked empty, but then I spied someone in the pool. I wanted to get a closer look at the frog as he bathed. As the frog leaped away, I could hear other frogs singing out to him. I started singing too as I got to work collecting acorns and pine cones. It was time to make some home improvements. When I came back the next afternoon, I saw a squirrel nibbling on some nuts, but no fairies in sight. I just couldn't give up. I hoped the fairies would visit my house. Maybe it needed a better entrance. In my pack were seashells and feathers from Mom that I had found at the beach. I decorated the path leading up to the door. I thought about adding my shiny bracelet to one of the shells, hoping to catch a fairy's attention. But then I remembered the rules of the woods. The next morning, I got up very early when my parents were still asleep, and I tiptoed out of our cottage and into the woods. This was the day we would be leaving the island, so I had one last chance to visit my fairy house. A fog had rolled in off the ocean, covering the woods like a thick blanket. I could barely see. It was like walking in a cloud. The trees seemed huge and their branches looked like arms. Goosebumps started popping up on my arms and legs. Should I turn around and run? Oh, but my fairy house was so close. It was then that I heard footsteps and saw a large dark shape moving towards my fairy house. My heart started thumping, and I jumped behind a tree to hide. I caught my breath. It was a deer licking the salty seashells. I stood perfectly still as she made her way lazily through the woods, then vanished into the mist. Exhausted, I sat down near my fairy house, watching, waiting for the fairies to appear. The quiet of the woods and the soft mist made me sleepy. My eyelids felt heavy, but I tried not to fall asleep. Before long, the sun started breaking through the mist, and then I felt a soft breeze. Kristen, the breeze seemed to say. Kristen, wake up. We can only stay a moment. Struggling to open my eyes, I saw a bright beam of light and a tiny, smiling face. We are the fairies who live in the woods, in the spirits of all the plants and animals, said a voice. Of all the houses here, the animals have chosen yours to visit. You have treated the woods with care and respect. Do you see the fairies? Look quickly, Kristen, for this is a moment of magic when the fairies will show themselves as a way of thanking you. As the late morning sun started breaking through the mist, light beams illuminated the fairies. They sparkled like jewels. They became so bright, I had to close my eyes. When I opened my eyes, the fairies had changed into beautiful monarch butterflies. Butterflies fluttered around me like a great orange cloud. following me to the edge of the woods where the sun shone brightly. I watched them dancing toward the light, higher and higher. Squinting into the warm golden day, I smiled and I waved at the last butterfly disappeared into the sky. And that, my dear friends, is the story of the fairy houses. And I wonder if this week you would like to go out and build your very own fairy house using pine cones and twigs and leaves and rocks and maybe even a special shell. I think I might build one too and hope that the fairies come. I love you all very much. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I'll see you all soon.